In a world full of movie podcasts, here is one more. Welcome to Defend Your Movie with Sean Donnelly.
The time has come again. The champion must stand. It can only be one of us. Victoria! So stand up and fight, my friend. There's a title you must defend. Shut it on and on. Bring it to me. Defend your movie.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Defend Your Movie. I am your host, Sean Donnelly. We're doing things different this week. For the next couple of weeks, actually, I am in Los Angeles without everybody's favorite pal, Farah Brook. She's back in New York, and so I wasn't able to. I'm pretty broke. I couldn't fly her out here to do podcasts. So it's going to be me and the guest this week. This week we have a very good pal of mine. He's awesome. He's hilarious. He had a CISO hour special. You've seen him on Comedy Central's half-hour special. You've seen him on what else? A million different
Letterman. We did it.
Yeah,
real
we did it
close
the
to each
same
other.
year. Letterman. My guest this week is Adam Newman. Hello, Adam. How are you, buddy?
I'm great. I'm excited specifically about this podcast and the movie we're talking about today. I'm excited about it. I'm bummed Farrah's not here, though. I don't know her very well, but I
You know who
think
she
she's
is?
hilarious. Yeah.
She's super funny, and
And
she's my co-host on the show. It became that way because I love her. She's great.
Yeah, I saw her makeout video that went
Yeah.
viral, and I thought it was like the funniest thing ever. And then
It's
I saw
really
her, and I
funny.
thought she was funny. And then I knew she did the podcast because I listened to a couple episodes to get the feel for it.
Yeah, Farah's role in the podcast. Actually, maybe, and also, we're joined by an old friend here, my buddy Aaron, who is doing the producing for the show. Say hello, Aaron.
Hey, guys.
Aaron.
Big fan of the show.
Are you a big fan of the show?
I am a big fan.
You do listen to the show because you'll comment and stuff on it and stuff.
Make America Sinbad again.
That's right. We had Jared Freed, and
Yeah.
he did
House Guest.
House Guest with Sinbad, and
I
then
vaguely remember that movie.
it was like the second or third episode, and the conversation devolved into literally him talking about race relations and how the movie House Guest solves race relations and how it's basically a metaphor for how
That's like defending it to the extreme. I'm here to defend a movie and be like, I like this movie, but I'm not here to tell you this movie is
solving any
gonna
world problems.
solve the world's problems. Yeah.
Aaron, actually, on the fly, would we be able to call Farah maybe if we get her on the phone? Do you have a connection like that?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Is it up there?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll pause and set it up, and then we'll do a section when we do that, and maybe. All right, whatever. Okay, cool. So anyway, Adam, you're doing good. How's life? We saw each other yesterday. We should divulge what happens when me and Adam are pretty good friends. I would say
We started around the same time in New York doing
Yeah.
the same open mics. We've seen each other suck. We've seen each other
Yes.
have good and bad moments on stage the whole way through. Yeah, so
and that's who. The way comedy works, I talk about comedy sometimes in the podcast. We'll do it in the beginning a lot. We actually did it too long, a couple of different podcasts.
because I want to get into this movie really
Yeah,
bad.
I know, we will,
It's
we
so
will.
funny because so many times comedians hang out with the intention of doing something else and will immediately just go right into shop talk forever. I know that's dangerous.
Absolutely. It's very dangerous.
And we can edit. We can talk for half an hour and edit. I don't care how we do it. But,
No. It's literally all I wanted to say is that what you're describing is we're from pretty much the same class.
Yeah.
Comedy in New York, the way it is, the guys you start open mics with, they're it's like a class. It's almost like a high school class because that's who you hang out with and that's who you're friends with and that's you're like, oh, these are my buddies. And they're kind of who you go. The guys who stay in it or kind of go along the way, that's who you kind of stay in it with.
Yeah.
Throughout your life. That's how you know the best. So that's what I mean. We're in the same comedy class.
We did. We were actually. That's funny. We did open mics the same time, same places. We were Montreal New Faces, same class.
Yep.
We were Letterman, same audition group.
Yep.
Same within a few months doing each other. Yeah, we're same class.
And you did your half hour the year before I did mine. Yeah, that's the
Because
only
I was ready a year
You
before
were
you.
so ready. I
not how
was
that
a
goes.
little green comedian.
Yeah, that's what they said. They were like, Donnelly's almost ready. He needs one more year of development.
So we know each other. But the only thing I wanted to say is about our friendship is that my pal Adam, when I come to Los Angeles, he will He will indulge me, and I will go to the Grove and go to Wood Ranch Grill, which I love, and it's like a chain place.
I didn't know it was a chain until yesterday when they gave us remember, we went yesterday. They gave us a free barbecue sauce because it was like their 25th anniversary or something, and you said I don't know. Then they started listing all the locations, and I could kind of see your face drop a little bit too. I don't think you realized how many locations they had.
I didn't know they had so many. I did not realize.
Does it make you feel bad when you're a regular at a place and you're like, I'm basically just supporting a new Applebee's or something? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm part of the problem.
Yeah,
exactly. But anyway, so this week the movie we are going to do is Powder. You're gonna defend.
I want to defend
Powder, and my experience with this movie,
non-ironically either, by the way.
Non-ironically,
I realize Powder is the butt of a lot of jokes.
Oh my God! We used to call my buddy Mike Regan. We call him Powder and Casper because he's a pale Irish kid.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great thing to call a really white guy.
Yeah. That's exactly. So my experience with this movie, it came out in 99. Okay.
No.
It's not 99?
95, I think.
Is it 95? Oh, did I screw that up?
Is it? No way, 99. Because I would have been like, I was born in 82. I don't think I was. I remember going to the movie theater to see this with my friend when I was like 12 or 13 years old.
Hold on, I'll tell you in 2 seconds.
Yeah, let's make sure, because that would be a weird memory thing I have, if not.
Well, anyway, I remember my experience.
95?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, cool.
You might have watched like a remastered edition or something.
I don't know why. I must have misread it. I probably didn't have my glasses on when I was reading online. But the thing about it is I didn't watch. I just watched it for the first time before the podcast. I don't have a childhood with this. When that came out, I was in 11th grade. Yeah. I purposely didn't see it because I thought, based on the commercials, I thought it would freak me out.
Yeah, it was pretty scary for like a kid. And by the way, okay, I do, if you don't mind, there's one thing I want to get out of the way before we get into this movie. I realize this is a Defend Your Movie podcast, not specifically Defend the Director podcast. There's a thing that has tainted this movie for a lot of people.
Do you want to say that up front?
I want to get this out front. I don't want people to be like, he's defending this movie and then it comes out. But just so you know that I'm aware, the director, Victor Salva, is a convicted child molester, okay? And there's a lot of... This is a difficult thing for separating the artist from the art is a difficult thing to do, especially as a comedian with all like the Cosby stuff that came out
and Woody Allen stuff.
Yeah, sometimes and Cosby's been the hardest for me, obviously, because he was one of my favorite comedians, and
I think everybody got used to the Woody Allen thing because they've known about it for so long. But Cosby, it was like you just found it out.
Yeah,
and also because of his image, and also Woody Allen's image wasn't America's dad. Like they literally called Cosby America's dad.
We grew up with Cosby.
Yeah.
Like my whole family loved Cosby. I loved his show. I loved his specials. I loved everything he's ever done. And then all of a sudden, boom, he's the worst person in the world.
Like 60 women at this point or something.
Victor Salva, I still don't know what he looks like. I don't know anything about him. I didn't know. All I know is that, once every now and again I'll bring up Powder and be like, I loved that movie. And people be like, the director's a child molester.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I didn't know any of that.
It's so funny, too. Whenever that's brought up, it's like, yeah, but it doesn't mean I'm a child molester. It's like, basically what people are saying. They're like, oh, did you know the director's a child molester? It's like, yeah, it doesn't mean that you're like pro child molesting if you like
Oh, my God, not at all. And I don't want to do anything to help give money. I'm not telling everyone to go out and rent Powders. Just only because I think you should. It's on HBO Go right now. If you have HBO Go, you're not paying any extra money. You can go watch it. But I don't want people going out and renting or buying Powder so that director makes more. I'm not saying support this director. He also directed Jeepers Creepers, by the way.
Yeah, which is another.
And he wrote Powder and Jeepers Creepers and directed them.
Oh well, it makes complete sense. Like he literally, okay, the fact that he was a convicted child molester in Powder, it figures in because there are there's a few homoerotic scenes of like teenage boys in like there's the major one is the one towards the end where he's literally watching a dude like wash himself in the sink. Like, it's not even, and he's like watching him, but it's weird because he likes the girl. So it's not even, it's implied that he's straight and has a crush on the girl. Powder.
I don't know. Maybe,
I don't think he's gay in the movie.
No, he's not. It wouldn't matter if he was, obviously, but he's not. But
no, there's anything wrong with that.
There's anything wrong with it.
It's a Seinfeld reference for the show.
Yeah.
Aaron has a No Soup for You shirt on.
And I'm Newman. This is fun. I told you yesterday we were hanging out yesterday that we were on the lot. Sean won I don't know when this is coming out, but Sean won the internet on At Midnight yesterday.
I did.
And I was hanging out at the studio, and when they let me in, I had to show my ID because I was on like a list to be allowed in the studio. And the guy in the little booth was like, "I need to see your ID," and he was like, "Oh, I like your last name, man." And my last name's Newman, and I was like, "Oh, you're like a Seinfeld fan?" He was like, "No, why?" I was like, "Oh." He's like, I was like, because Newman's a character. Like, "Oh no, I just thought your name was cool, Newman." I was like, "All right, that's just never had that before." But
Yes. So he was just an idiot.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's like, "New man." It's like instead of saying baby, you just say new man.
Yeah. And then he goes, and then I was like, "All right, well, thanks." And he goes, "Keep your head up." And then he fist pounded me, and I went in and I met up with you. It was just a weird encounter.
That's a great moment.
I don't know if we should like get into what the plot of Powder is first, but I do know that specific scene we're talking about where he's like watching this guy in the sink like wet himself. He's looking at how tan and how he has like body hair and stuff. And it's not supposed to be like a homoerotic scene. He's just like he's just, kind of jealous or fascinated
what we will do is this. I should have told Aaron this beforehand. The way we usually do it is you explain the plot of Powder to Farah Brook. So what we'll do is we're going to take a quick can you pause it, and then when we come back, we're going to try to have Farah on the line so we can do it. Okay, let's just get into it. This week, what we're going to do to have a little fun, Aaron will play the Farah role. Aaron has not seen this movie. Aaron's definitely probably seen more movies than Farah because you'd be surprised how many movies she hasn't seen. But, so please, Adam, can you, as succinctly as possible, can you describe the plot of Powder?
Yeah, I'll try to do it.
Yeah.
Aaron, have you not seen Powder, like, you just missed it, or you've actively been
just
not watching
missed
Powder?
I remember the trailer. I have a vague idea what it's about. But
all right, let me see if I can do this quickly. So basically, I just rewatched it too. So the movie opens. What if I literally in real time just give you 2 hours of? All right. Basically,
opening shot, wide shot, open.
I brought the script with me, and we have.
What if we just acted it out?
We have Victor Salva and what's the guy? Sean Patrick Flannery. Jeff Goldblum is here,
and one of my crushes, Mary Steenburgen.
I love her. I think this is the reason I love her so much is because I think when I was a kid I saw Powder, and she is such like a motherly, warm, just welcoming character. I love her.
Mine was Back to the Future 3. That's why I love her.
Oh, right.
And she's in Clifford, and she's great in Clifford.
Yeah.
I love her in
Clifford, too.
Yeah.
Clifford's great.
So anyway, without us acting it out, or by minute by minute, as succinctly as you can.
I think I could act out a few parts of it. How long do you really think I'll let you keep me here? I think I can. I know some lines pretty word for word. Jeff Goldblum, by the way.
There's a great. I'll mention the Jeff Goldblum scene in this. There's a great. His intro scene is unbelievable. Jeff Goldblum. Yeah. It's quintessential Jeff Goldblum.
It's amazing, and so we'll get into that later. But I will just say this is Jeff Goldblum at his most Jeff Goldblumiest.
Oh, the peak.
So
it's like Independence Day, Jeff Goldblum.
It's great.
You're just loving it. Yeah.
So now you have the cast in your mind. So basically, the movie does. It is important how the movie opens. I believe it is like a hospital scene where a pregnant mother. I think it's alluded to that she is basically struck by lightning and not doing well. She comes in and gives birth to a baby, and they come out and they tell the father the mother didn't make it, and the boy has some abnormalities, and the father comes in and looks at his son, little baby albino son, and he's just staring at it and can't deal with it, and he's going, "That's not my son, that's not my son." And the babies, they show the baby's brain waves going like completely crazy.
You know how they have like the EKG?
Yeah.
And it's like it goes up and down like a chart, whatever. This just fills in like somebody's coloring in the page.
Yeah.
It's like,
And I hate to say this, like right off the bat you can tell, and I don't want to defend the director's actions, but the movie is directed beautifully.
The movie's directed
it's just
well.
really directed really well. But anyway, so
is the kid reacting to the
the kid as an infant
anger?
is reacting to the father not wanting him, and they show his brainwaves going crazy, and so it's basically showing immediately you have this like abnormal albino child with like crazy brainwaves, and
nobody thinks to check the child for if he's having a seizure or something.
Well, this isn't ER, okay, Aaron? It's Powder. This isn't medical drama. This is literally just a setup to this guy's life.
It's funny because if they had done that, they would be like, no, it's not a seizure, and it would have been a complete waste of like a scene that that doesn't matter. But yes, that's probably something that maybe they should have looked at in real life. movie. Yeah, it's not a seizure. Anyway, and then they basically cut to, I don't know, 15, 16 years later. I don't remember how it gets it, but what happens is this kid, I think, has been living with his grandparents, kind of on the outskirts of town, and his grandparents are dead. They died, and so they have to go.
You find that out because the cops get called to...
Yeah, and they go to the house, and they find that this kid's living in the basement.
And they bring Mary Steenburgen, who's like, I guess...
Like a counselor type?
Yeah, well, she runs the school for, like, wayward boys. It's basically like that. Like,
okay.
State-run... like orphanage for boys who I guess are left or or abused, whatever. They don't really explain that.
No, they don't, because they find him at the house, and then like 2 seconds later he's like in school, and you're like, whoa, they're not big transition period right there.
No, they jump around.
Yeah, but they find him, and I will say they use the word retarded
a lot,
and like it was clearly not. It was clearly still okay to use the word retarded because, like, right off the bat, they're like, I don't know, but they say he's retarded, and then they go down, and they're all terrified of him. But it's just like this bald, no hair albino kid. There's nothing scary about him at all. He's like the most polite kid in the planet.
There's nothing scary about him.
Yeah,
but he's just an albino, and people just look at him, and they're like horrified, and you're like. You're overreacting.
He's so polite. He puts a suit on. He puts a suit and like a nice hat on.
It's like
to
an
leave.
old-timey suit.
Yeah.
Like, it must have been one of his grandpa's suits.
Yeah. And they go in the basement and they visit him and they realize he's like a genius. He's like got all the books down there memorized and
he recites a page from Moby Dick.
Yeah. And then they bring him and they kind of interact. They kind of mix him in with the school and the other boys, and clearly they're all making fun of him and they think he's a freak. And as it goes on in class, you kind of find out he's got these like powers. He can kind of read your mind. He's got some weird connection with electricity. He can kind of manipulate electricity, but also electricity is like super dangerous to him, and he'll get zapped by things. And
right, which is illustrated in the first time you meet Goldblum. Goldblum is like the science teacher of the school that he goes to. He goes to like the regular high school, and all these kids.
As soon as he starts talking, you're like, God damn it! I wish he was my science teacher. He's
well, the best
unreal.
That's the best part. This is the part I wanted to say. You get introduced to Goldblum by him. You see a hand writing the word molecules on the board, and then he turns around and gives like a Goldblum smile. And he's like, molecules. He just like laughs to himself and goes, molecules, and then just starts talking about molecules, and then has one of those which. Also, I call bullshit on this, too. There's a scene where they're in the science class, and this is the crazy scene with the electricity, where he has like
a Jacob's ladder. It's like a Jacob's, is that what it's called?
Oh, where he's going up?
Yeah.
Well, I guess so.
The electricity thing?
The electricity thing. My thing was, the thing that does it to him, so Jeff Goldblum's just talking about electricity, and as he's talking, Powder is like kind of freaking out. And this girl, this redheaded girl that figures in later, she's like, are you okay? And then, because there's electricity coming off this thing that nobody ever has in their science class.
I know. I did look at that, and I was like, I think I've seen that at like a kids' museum or something.
Frankenstein's lab.
But yeah, you don't have that in like your public school or like school for boys.
It's like one of those things that has the two metal poles, and then the electricity is zapping in between them and going up and down. It's like
and it's supposed to illustrate, I think, that electricity doesn't disappear. It just goes like it just goes.
And it was also foreshadowing. That's what it was.
Yeah. But the thing keeps getting more and more powerful, and it's clearly got like some connection to Powder, right? And then at some point it just like shoots this enormous, beam of electricity and like lifts him up in class. It's like a big sci-fi kind of scene, and it's really intense. And it's cool for 95. It was pretty impressive.
For 95,
actually.
It was really, really impressive graphics for 95.
Yeah.
So that's where you first get introduced to Goldblum, and you're like, oh my god, this kid is like something with electricity is going on with this kid.
Yeah, and he also does some other things in the cafeteria where like he's getting
all the spoons together?
He's getting picked on by the other kids, and he makes all the forks and knives and spoons all like turn into some sculpture on the table.
Also,
it's like
should we talk about that for a second? The way they bully him is like nothing I've ever heard.
No.
He goes, you can wear your spoon. The new guy's got to wear his spoon.
This is in the cafeteria.
The cafeteria. This is the cafeteria.
You have to wear the spoon on your nose during your meal,
and he goes, show him, Craig, or whatever. And this kid just puts a spoon on his nose, and they all start laughing. I'm like, these guys are idiots.
Yeah.
And then he goes, or You can shove it up your ass.
When I rewatched it, I was like, it would have been so funny if he was just like, I'll wear it up my ass. And they were like, oh. And then they would have had to put it up his ass.
And they're like, oh, nobody ever chooses the ass.
No one's ever chosen the ass.
Are you sure? Like,
Yeah.
We really don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's also, I think it's implied that main bully kid is gay.
Just because he's like so homophobic.
He's like homophobic, and he does the spoon ass thing, and he also later on when they're bullying him in the gym
strips him naked
and says, "Do you want to see what a real man looks like?"
Yeah.
I think he means I'll show you my wiener.
Oh.
I think it's implied like he's. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But anyway,
does this take place in modern time at that?
Yeah, it's modern time.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be modern time. It starts off back in, I guess, it's supposed to be the 70s or something, or the early 80s, I guess, in the beginning when he's born.
Yeah. But I
and
think
then
it's
it goes
supposed to be
into-
modern
it's supposed
time,
to be 95.
90s. Yeah.
He dresses older because I think they're supposed to be like, oh, he's been sheltered in like his grandparents' basement for so long, so
Yeah.
he's so out of touch with reality. Like
There's
book
TV.
smart.
I know it's. Remember, because he says he keeps talking about how he's reading stuff, and then he's saying how he can't watch TV, and they're like, "What do you mean you can't watch TV?" And then they turn on a TV, and the TV freaks out and stuff. Cause
Yeah, and the way they find that in that scene, it's because he gets an IQ test, which you never see him take. I don't think in the movie, right?
No, they don't show.
They don't show him
it.
take the IQ test,
But they just show like a panel of like other geniuses being like, "You've scored higher than anyone in the history of the world," and then he's psychic and he's like, "Well, you're just here to find out how I cheated," and it's like, "Ooh," I don't know. That's a fun moment.
It was a great like little revenge moment, but like. The weird part about it is like there's too much stuff going on in this movie because they never set that guy up as a villain. So you had to like he was like an automatic villain. It was basically it's the bad guy from Twin Peaks. It's Laura Palmer's father.
The guy
Twin
from the
Peaks.
IQ test?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
They don't really set him up. The guy who's like, well, we have more questions for you. He always plays the bad guy.
Yeah.
But you're basically just judging him as the bad guy from his looks because it's not like early on he tried to like put Powder in jail or put him in some kind of insane asylum and then they're like now he's back and Powder's getting his revenge. He just automatically Powder's like you think I cheated and everybody's like whoa yeah fuck this guy
Also,
for no reason.
What's
and then
the bad
he's gone.
guy? Yeah, what's the bad guy's like? What do you? How do you punish a 16-year-old kid that cheated on an IQ test? What do you? They're just giving him. They found him in a basement.
Right.
They're like, we're gonna see how smart you are, and then they're like, oh, you cheated on the IQ test. He was by himself.
Also, he can't. You can't really cheat on an IQ
No,
test.
you put someone in a room by themselves and have
Yeah.
them do all these problem-solving things.
Another great Seinfeld episode, the IQ test. When he sneaks out the window, and it's great. All right. I should just do a Seinfeld podcast. I say this every time in the podcast. No, and the other thing he says, it's so funny, too, because then he goes, we don't have a scale for you. You might be the smartest human alive. And I'm like, wait, so you would know that just from his IQ test score? You wouldn't know that, like...
Yeah, I was actually thinking that, too. I was like, how high does the score go?
Yeah.
Does it go to, like... Does it go to... Because, like, you can get 100%...
No, it's
And
like
then
numbers.
what?
No, it's like people have like 140 IQ. That's like you're a genius.
Right.
100 is average.
100's average. And
Sure.
Then people go 140. And then you get above that. It's probably insane. I don't know
like
the highest IQ.
But how many questions do they keep asking you where they're like, I mean, you have to have it. You have to be smart enough to know the answer to the question, to know the correct answer to ask other people. You know what I mean? You just can't be like, well, you got all the answers right. And so then what?
Yeah, right, exactly. Right, exactly. So it's also
We
like
just ran out of questions
He's
to ask
smarter
him.
than you. Yeah, you're right. You don't even have the capabilities to test him.
Yeah.
Then. That's the point. But he was like, yeah, you're off the chart. So anyway, that's when they find out because they don't. He says I can't watch TV, and they go, what do you mean? They can't even figure that out.
Yeah.
And then Jeff Goldblum just pops on the TV with the remote and it just starts sparking.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm sorry. Does Jeff Goldblum? Where he's like,
Yeah.
I had to show them what you meant. I had to realize. And it was like so.
These people clearly are stupider than you, so I had to show you. Jeff Goldblum's actually like the guy who really tries to be his friend. There's
Yes.
that other weird scene with Jeff Goldblum where he's like, where Powder's talking about his family being afraid to touch him because of like whatever electricity or getting shocked or whatever, and then Jeff Goldblum's like, oh, that's so crazy. Everybody should be touched, and then like puts his hand on his face, and Powder starts crying, and it's like this is a weird
pedophile.
It's no one touched. Yeah, it's all just hands touching faces, shaking hands, but it's still just for knowing the director, it's a little uncomfortable. But then also it's still like he's crying and you're rubbing his face. It's still just like kind of an uncomfortable parent teacher student relationship happening.
Of course
right now.
It is. That's why this movie got so panned because people watched it and they're like, holy shit, this guy's love letter to pedophilia to the world.
My God.
This guy just was like wanted to show people, hey, because basically you could make the connection like, hey, he feels like Powder. He's like different from everybody else because he's a pedophile.
Oh,
do you know what I'm saying?
Maybe he thought he was on the Jeff Goldblum side. He's like, well, I'm touching this kid, but like this kid's different than everybody. And like he needs it, which is horrible.
I love him.
It's horrible.
I mean, I've seen SVU every episode. I know what I'm talking about. When it comes
you know
to
what goes, what goes on in pedophiles' heads.
I do.
No, I was reading about him. He did. So I guess like in the late '80s, he was directing a movie for Disney, and one of the child stars, like a 14-year-old kid in the movie, he like took to a room and inappropriately touched or whatever, and I think he got in trouble for having oral sex with a 14-year-old. I don't know if that's giving or receiving or what. I don't really care to know the details.
Well, yeah,
I'm just not sure.
Either way.
And I do think he went and spent some time in prison.
And then got out.
And
then made the movie.
I read this on Wikipedia, yeah. And then his name was kind of tainted from that. So he had like some day job, and on the weekends and at nights he was writing his own movies and posing as a delivery boy. And as like a delivery guy,
oh my God,
and going to like studios and delivering his scripts and stuff. It's like,
really?
Yeah, that's what I just got into that a little bit.
What a driven pedophile.
Seriously, you're like, it is a weird thing. You're like,
pedophile following his dreams.
Okay, so the movie's directed well. I think he's done some cool movies, like written some cool movies.
Jeepers Creepers is a really scary movie.
Let's say he's a good writer, a good director, and he's very motivated and driven to do those things.
Yeah.
But he's also a pedophile, so it's like.
So is he done? He hasn't made anything since, obviously.
No, he's like a working guy. He still works on stuff. Jeepers Creepers 3 apparently started production earlier this year, and he wrote and directed that. He's like still active.
Oh, so he's still active.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. All right, so anyway, we're going back.
I'm not defending him.
I know
like, here's my thing. I will say,
it
just
seems like you're defending
on the record for me, if you've molested one child in 1988 and still went to jail for it and got out, I'm still not cool with you. I just wanted to be like on the record, like, well, I realize for society he's paid his punishment.
Why are you winking at me right now, Adam?
I'm not winking. I have something in my eye.
If you learn anything from this podcast, it's that Adam Newman, the comedian, defends
No,
I'm just kidding.
It's so weird how badly you want me to defend this pedophile.
So anyway, so what happens from there? So they find out that Powder is different, and Powder has these powers, but you don't even know what his powers are, because it's like he reads minds or he reads feelings.
Well, there's
and he can read people's pasts. Like it's like he can do anything.
So here's the other huge power that he's able to do, and one leads into the other one. Is so like the deputy. There's like the sheriff is like kind of a good guy, and then like his deputy's kind of like a dumb redneck bad guy. And so somehow Powder, for some reason, Powder's wandering around in the woods, and there's a lot of times where you're like, why is he in the woods, or where is he?
Because that's what he wants.
Yeah,
he's like,
he just wants to be one with nature.
He's directing it like,
what if
fantasy in my...
What if you came along a 16-year-old boy in the woods?
There's a pale 16-year-old in the woods.
No body hair. That's what I'm talking about.
This is what the people want to see. Yeah. This is what they want to see.
Oh, man. This is what the people want to see. Oh, my God. So he's wandering in the woods for some reason, and he comes across all the boys who are like shitty to him, and this deputy guy, and he's hunting, and he shoots a deer.
And he's not supposed to be hunting. That's another weird pedophile thing that happens. I didn't understand. Maybe I missed this. Why isn't the deputy sheriff allowed to be hunting with the boys in the woods?
I just imagine it wasn't the right season or something. It was like, I just figured he's hunting when he's not supposed to be, or maybe hunting on some property he's not supposed to be.
You can't watch this movie without thinking of the pedophile director, because what happens is...
you thought it had some pedophile reasons. I thought it had
some pedophile reasons, but I thought, because he goes to the sheriff...
Here's the thing. There is actually no pedophilia like things in this movie, other than the director's a pedophile.
Oh, there's no plot points that are pedophilia,
right?
But there are like,
if this was directed by like Steven Spielberg, you would just be like, yeah, there's nothing weird to think about here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But you can't not think of it when you're watching.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. You can't completely separate.
It's not a coincidence that guy made this movie.
Yeah,
and
it's probably
wrote
not.
It.
It's probably not.
It's definitely not. It's
Fuck.
crazy.
It's making it hard for me to want to defend it, but I'm just telling you, when I was a kid, I watched it and I loved it, anyway. But all right, so let's get through it, and we'll decide at the end if I'm really able to. But as an entertaining movie all the way through, I really loved this movie.
Yeah. So anyway, there's the hunting scene is a big scene in the movie because they're hunting. I guess they're not supposed to be hunting because of the season or something. You're right, but they never really explain why.
No.
But out of nowhere, the kids are about. The one big bully kid that I think is closeted has a gun to Powder's head, and the little the squirty guy, that like his sidekick, is like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that for?" And he's like trying to stop him, and then out of nowhere they hear a shot from the distance, and it's the redneck deputy, and he shot a deer, and the deer's dying. And also that's why I think I never watched this movie. I think I knew about that scene before I went to go see it, and I can't take that.
No,
I don't like when animals get hurt in movies. I don't like it. Anyway, so the deer's dying.
There's a good ending to this part of the story.
There's a good ending to this part of the story because literally Powder kneels. They're all berating him, and he kneels down and he touches the deer and then touches the deputy and makes the deputy with his powers feel what the deer is feeling.
Yeah.
So feel like he's dying.
And then later, the sheriff goes and talks to the deputy, and he's like, "I heard you sold all your guns and stuff." And he's just like, "Hey, that boy made me feel something. I just can't do it again."
But but he stays an asshole. He just doesn't want to use his guns anymore.
Yeah,
he's still kind of an asshole.
He's an asshole to people, but he won't shoot animals anymore.
He won't shoot animals anymore.
That's
right?
something.
It's something. Start. But that's the moment when he goes to see the deputy, when the sheriff, who's actually like a good guy in the movie, when he goes to see the sheriff, he goes, "Oh, you sold all your guns. You got to tell me the real reason." And he goes, "I already know you were out there with them boys hunting." Mm-hmm. And he goes, you shouldn't have been doing that to begin with." And the deputy goes, "Yeah, I know." Because the guy who directed this movie, right away I was like, he's not allowed to be around boys. I'm like, you think of anything with like a pedophile tint, even though you're right. Because if they would have explained it, if they were like, it's not hunting season, you can't do that. But I don't think they say that at all in the movie.
I am 100% sure that this is the thing. I'm 100% sure that it had nothing to do with pedophilia, but I totally understand that connection. That
do you know
totally
what I
makes
mean?
sense. Yeah, because you know
and because you know who the director is, and it's also a thing where it's like,
I did not think. By the way, I thought this podcast was going to start with me going, "By the way, I realize this guy's a pedophile. I'm not defending that," and then we would talk about the movie. I didn't think it was going to be such a. But I guess it's impossible to not make it a huge thing.
I'm fresh off watching it. I'm realizing it as we're talking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what happened? That happens. Powder shows he has his powers. Things just kind of. There's really no. Would you say there's no? This is why I have an issue with the movie. You can't really defend this part. There's no arc to the movie, really. It just stuff happens. Powder's around.
Oh,
there's no build up.
That's a thing. I don't know about no build up, but I do understand. It's actually a thing I like about this movie. And maybe it's because it's kind of the way I write too, which is not normal. I don't think it's like completely linear. Like the movie starts here, and then it goes to this, and it goes to this, and it goes to this. There's not like crazy flashbacks. There's not like A plot, B plot, C plot. It's just like you're just following this one story through, and
it happens before.
And I it's not like this arc. It's just like this happens, then this happens, then this happens. And actually, as I was watching the movie again, I was like, there's not that many scenes in this movie either. It's just like this huge thing happens, then this huge thing. It's like that big birth scene happens, then that big scene where they find him in the basement, the big classroom scene, the big hunting scene, and then the one I want to get to, which is with the wife, the sick wife of the sheriff. And it's just like these like 8 giant things happen in these big long scenes, and then the movie's over. And it's just like, wow, we just kind of watched. I don't know. I kind of
watched like a lot of little tiny plays, and then it's all connected. But you're absolutely right. There's no crescendo. And I think maybe I just been watching too many superhero movies or something where I'm like, oh my god, I need a giant build up with a payoff.
Yeah, the pacing of this movie is like really slow and deliberate. The pacing of it reminds me of Rudy.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
I can see that.
With like big
Yeah.
sweeping shots and like really nice music. The music in this movie, I think, is really. It's almost
nice,
like
yeah.
ET-ish type music. It's It's like the composer. Whoever he got for a composer, I thought was.
I'll
really
tell
good.
you, as far as I know, we're going to talk about the other scene too. But here's the thing: it's like this movie could have been better in so many ways. You know, the glaring one is obviously don't have a pedo ass directing the movie. The secondly,
That's fair.
Also,
I can't
that's
defend.
fair.
I cannot. I do not disagree. If you have a choice between, because the problem in Hollywood is that there's just so many directors that aren't pedophiles that you could have used. That's not the problem in Hollywood. Is not that there are the problem. That's not what I meant. The problem is not that there are too many that are not pedophiles.
You're saying there should be more pedophiles?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, I just want. Can we get a quote of that? Can we get a soundbite of Adam saying more directors in Hollywood should be pedophiles?
I'm saying what I meant to say is I think if you have the option, actually I'll go as far as to say this: if you have the option to use a great director who's a pedophile, or just a good director who's not a pedophile, I would pick the good director who's not a pedophile every single time.
Of course.
Is that weird? Is that a hot take?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but you're kicking me under the table right now and winking really hard.
I'm not.
What is going on with
Tell
you?
you, I think I got pink eye or something.
This podcast is not Namble does not advertise in this podcast. I don't know. I'm kidding.
Anyway,
obviously.
it's been great to be on the Defend Your Pedophile podcast. Thanks for having me.
No, I get what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. But it does hover over this movie way too much. But the other things, to get off the pedophile thing for a while.
But I'm telling you, I watched this movie for the first time without ever having known that he was a pedophile. If you watch an episode of... if you watch Bill Cosby himself or an episode of The Cosby Show, 20 years ago... versus you watch it today, it's going to be tainted.
It's going to be tainted, yeah. And also the age you watch it in figures in. That happens a lot in this podcast.
And it's weird because when I watched Powder as a child, I was probably right around the age that the director would have been interested in someone like me.
So you're like, oh, he's
to be
talking
fair,
to me through this movie.
To be fair, if you're gonna be a pedophile, he did go after a star of a Disney movie, so he aimed like high. He went from like, this is not. I don't want to go this. I don't want to go this. I'm just saying.
At least he got good taste.
Yeah, at least.
No, if you're gonna be a pedophile, at least go for the best.
It wasn't just some like ugly, shitty kid.
Like he wouldn't have fucked an albino. No, done that.
Why? That's weird because watching this movie, you're like, maybe that was like a fetish he had.
You never know. That's what I'm saying. Like the vibe of this movie is that. But to get away with it, I feel like we shouldn't be talking like the whole time, but it really does put a dark cloud over this thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is this: the fact that I said before that like when everybody sees Powder, he's just a normal looking, like good looking kid with white makeup on. Like it doesn't even look like he's albino. It just looks like he has white makeup on. Like that's the other problem with this movie. It's like, all right, even if you want to say, oh, it is kind of shocking to see somebody with no pigment, they don't make him look like. And I know they have the capabilities because in Princess Bride, they have an albino in that, and that guy looks like an albino, and he's not.
In Princess Bride?
Yeah,
I'm like super familiar. Who's the albino?
The
in that movie?
sidekick of what's his name? Not
He's
Max.
down in the dungeon.
Oh, the dungeon guy.
Yeah,
who puts him on the
yeah.
machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget the guy's name. He's a British comedian, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's even around anymore. But
I don't think so.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like they had the makeup capabilities to make him look.
Do you think
like
the makeup was that awful in Powder?
Yes.
I'll tell you what.
It looks like he was just a kabuki dancer. Like it didn't even look like he literally.
I remember in the scene with Jeff Goldblum like touching his face because then at one point he's like almost palming his bald head. You know? And I was like, well, that's good. The makeup didn't come off on his hand. Or,
yeah, that's
like,
what I'm saying.
I weirdly like noticed.
He looks like Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Like he looks like Jack Nicholson in the middle of makeup for the 1990 Joker.
It does look like he's in makeup for like a much more ambitious thing.
Yes,
and he's just like this is just his base
right.
layer.
Yes,
yeah,
right. Exactly.
They primed him.
Yes, and maybe that was deliberate. Maybe they're like, we don't want it just to be about special effects or make him look less attractive, and we don't want to offend anybody by that. But I don't think it was. I think they were just like, hey, this works. They're like, this works. Whatever.
What's interesting too is they did his full body because there was a.
Well, when they take off his shirt, he's all white. Oh no,
yeah, but no,
they better do his full body.
But no, like I mean. There's this full ass at the end of it. They strip him naked and kick him into a puddle. Remember, let's get some pigment on him.
Yeah, exactly. But my thing is this: I think when you have no pigment, that's not the white that you look like. That white they made him is a color. It's like that's like
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's an issue I had with it.
Maybe that's what you look like when your mom gets struck by lightning.
Oh, I guess you could make that defense.
You could make an argument, but
you could make an argument
but
that he's not albino.
Right.
He's a lightning bolt.
But the doctor in the beginning does say he's albino.
He does,
and they show his eyes. He's got like the pink eyes and stuff.
Yeah, but and also the one kid, the bully kid, calls him light bulb at one point, which is pretty good. I was like, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, but to get back to the bullying, actually, you're right. Because you were talking about in the cafeteria with the spoon on his nose, that's not how bullies act at all.
No.
They were like, oh, well, we got into the shove it up your ass thing, but yeah, like the bullying was wear this on your face, and then later, like when he gets caught kind of watching the kid kind of bathing himself, and then they're like, oh, let's take him outside and strip him naked. We all got bullied and pushed around as a kid, but no one ever just got stripped naked and kicked in a puddle in a thunderstorm and stuff.
Yes,
like
they
it's very
either went
weird
really
bullying.
light or really heavy on the bullying. They were like, hey, make yourself look like a koala bear or we'll rape you in a field. Like, it was like, wow, you guys really have a big scale there.
Yeah,
like, you're not really...
No, I mean, it was like...
What if in that scene in the cafeteria when they're like, put the spoon on your nose or do this... Now, the point of the scene was to show that he could put all the spoons together with his electric power, which he did, and they were all freaked out by him. What if he didn't do that, and he was like, yeah, I'll just wear the spoon?
I thought that too, yeah. Because he's then like, what? The humiliation is I'm the new kid sitting at a table by myself, and I have a spoon on my nose? Oh, my God, this is the end of my life. Everyone's going to make fun of me.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's fine.
But the way they bully, there's no slow build to, it's like, okay, there's two bullying scenes, basically. The first one is, the first bullying scene is wear the spoon on your nose, and then the next one is, I'm pointing a gun in your face. And then the next one is, I've stripped you naked and kicked you in a puddle. It's like, okay, that escalated very quickly, basically.
Yeah, and it also seemed like, before I even started watching it, when I started the cafeteria scene, because that first one was so light, it made me think they would be his friends by the end of the movie.
Yeah, you'd think by the end of it they'd be
they
like,
were going to team up against the town and save him or
okay.
something. That's what it should have been.
Yeah.
But all the people who team up are like Jeff Goldblum, who becomes his savior. Or not his savior. Well, Mary Steenburgen pretty much becomes his savior. But like, it's weird. Like, you know what it is? Not acting wise, but story wise, there's no real deep connection that you feel between them. Like,
I think some of the sci-fi stuff is cool, but then I think like the message that Jeff Goldblum kind of hits on is that, holy shit, through this like freak lightning accident or whatever happened, we are actually seeing what humans are capable of evolving into. That's like, to me, that's the idea of what he is.
That's the sci-fi
really
part?
like that. Yeah, that's like the idea of what Powder is. It's like, like we might be able to evolve. All the shit that's happening in the world with everybody fighting each other and everyone being shitty to each other and you know, people becoming dumber and more selfish and whatever. And we're watching this person that's evolved to hopefully what we get to where you're kinder to people. You're able to use. I think he talks about Einstein's theory of if you're able to use more of your brain, you don't even need your bodies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like, he's just talking about like a super evolved version of humans, and it turns out that it looks like there's a chance for us to become these really good beings. I think I like that part of the movie the best.
I think that's a good message in the movie, but also what you could argue is that it kind of is an alien. I kind of think this is cool. It's kind of an alien movie without using aliens, because that's what you're describing.
I did read the composer also did the music for Alien.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And some Star Trek.
Well, what you call it?
Some Star Trek.
The other weird part is this. Like I said, there's no real build-up, but there's a weird that field scene where they strip him naked. Mm-hmm. First, the bully tells him, "Hey, do you want to see what a real man looks like?" And then he just doesn't show him his penis, which I was like, bummer, right? I think we're all like bummer. And then out of nowhere, he's like, "Oh, he needs some pigment. He needs some color." Yeah. And they dip him in the mud, and then they go to dip him again, and he does one of these like cosmic blasts, and blows everybody away from him. Uh-huh. And then the main bully kid is like dies basically, and he uses his electricity to wake the kid up.
What are those things called? Those paddles that they use,
defibrillators.
Yeah. He basically uses his hands as defibrillators.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. So he wakes the kid up. The kid wakes up and grabs his hand, and then the sidekick kid, the little kid that's friends with the bully, goes, "No, Bill, let him go. And then he's like, "Hey, you gotta get out of here," to Powder. He's like, "You gotta get out of here. I can help you. I've gotten out of here before." But I'm like,
What did that mean?
I don't know what that meant. Yeah, and he gets him in the back of a truck or whatever. But my question is, why did he have to get out of there? Because it would be like he would get arrested for attempting to murder this kid?
That's a possibility, but I think he could tell that the lightning is bad. I think
that's what it was.
I think it's the lightning that's really bad for him, which is more foreshadowing for basically what happened
at the end. Yeah, right.
And before we get to that, so there's two more major scenes: that end scene, and now after the deer scene. And the sheriff talks to the deputy, who basically felt what the deer felt. I think that's what triggers him to get the idea, because the sheriff has like basically an unconscious wife.
Well, she's dying.
She's dying.
Like I don't think it's a coma. That's another thing. It's like what was her deal? Like,
I know she's basically in some sort of coma on her deathbed, but she can't communicate, and so he's like,
it seems like cancer-ish to me.
Yeah. And so the sheriff, I think, just starts thinking, well, if he can make him feel what the deer's feeling, maybe Powder can help me feel what my wife is feeling. And so brings Powder home, and Powder, touches both of them and gives the wife's basically last message to the to the sheriff, and then the sheriff, rekindles his relationship with his son. And that's like a big. Did you cry during that scene?
I didn't cry.
Oh
no.
my God, that got me.
I couldn't get. I wasn't emotionally involved in it because I kept thinking, pedophile is behind the camera.
I thought you were going to say he touched the wife, he touched the sheriff, and gives the sheriff cancer.
That would have been a whoop.
That would have
twist.
been. Well, I think. Well, that would have fit in with. It would almost would have made more
like,
sense.
That backfired.
It would have made more sense if he
had.
It would have the foreshadowing from the deer would have made more sense if he showed the sheriff what his wife was feeling, and somehow that. That's what it should have been. It should have been he touches the sheriff and the wife, and then he shows her what she's feeling, and then he's okay with then he's like, I'm fine with letting her go, like whatever. I understand what's going on now, and then she's let go. Because the whole son thing was, did they mention the son at all?
Yeah, earlier when he goes to visit his wife before Powder, like his son's like always leaving as he's going to visit.
Oh, right, that's right.
And they just
okay.
pass each other without talking to each other, and then the son, you could tell, always the son always goes. It's too cheesy. I hate when the son just keeps going, Papa, and then they don't talk to each other. But Papa is so cheesy.
Papa's really
too cheesy,
especially when you're 40.
Yeah.
Papa, what are you, a kid from a Western? Relax.
It's 1994.
It's 1994. Yeah. So what happens is the other annoying part is who is the blonde woman? Because I'm like, who's the blonde woman that lives with, that's like nurse?
She's
right?
She's like a live-in nurse or something, and she's terrified.
She's terrified of Powder. She's like, you can't have that kid in here.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have that kid in here. And he's like, relax. And he's just like, all right, go out of the way. He's like, oh, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like she's supposed to be like the voice of the town or something.
Yeah. Oh my God! This is, and again, to use this word again, whatever. But I know there's wrong connotations, but they use it a lot in this movie. But before the sheriff brings Powder over, his wife's like unconscious, and the sheriff says to his wife about Powder, he goes, I don't know what he is, but retarded he's not. And which is the funniest line ever. But then it's extra funny that it's like, you're talking to your unconscious wife. She's unconscious. And
that's how you know it was so accepted to say.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't think of any other eloquent word to say.
And this is after they've been talking to him for a really long time. There's no question that he's not retarded. I think he's already had the IQ test that says he's smarter than any man, any person that's ever existed. He's clearly got these special powers and stuff, and he's just like, I don't know, but it's definitely not retarded. It's like, yeah, we've already established that pretty hard.
Way to keep hammering home that plot point.
Yeah,
no, we figured that out in the first.
Dude.
When he recited Moby Dick.
Yeah.
In the first scene of the movie, the second scene of the movie.
The way they kept saying retarded in the movie, they could have done the entire movie. It could have ended, credits could have rolled, and then they would have had like that extra scene where it's just like the deputy turns to the sheriff and goes like, so do you think it was retarded?
This is like it's like the year after Forrest Gump too, and I don't think they say retarded.
No, they don't.
No, I don't think they say retarded in Forrest Gump.
I think maybe they had the characters they had say it, or like I think they had the sheriff say it. I was going to say like the dumber character said retarded, and they're like that's how they got away with it.
Yeah,
but
it was
also back then in '95 it wasn't as bad to say. That's
No,
20,
and,
2 years ago.
And they actually weren't. The other thing is they weren't using it to make fun of him or as a derogatory thing. They were being like,
No.
he's been stuck in a basement. We don't know anything about him. We wonder if he's like the town retarded person.
Right.
It
So,
sounds
yeah.
bad when I say it, but
that whole scene is just a weird scene. Like he like in her ear, he's like, I don't know what he is, but he ain't retarded. Like
Yeah.
it was like a weird, and I'm like, and you're on his side. That's what's so weird about it. Like,
Oh, yeah,
you're
he's a
his
good guy.
buddy.
Yeah, that
he's
guy-
a good guy, and you're still like saying retarded, referring to him, which is kind of weird. But and then what happens is. She says through Powder, the wife in the coma, Powder says she will not let go until you admit that you still have a son.
right.
And he's like, oh, it's all, and he starts crying. That was really sad. And he
Yeah.
goes, oh, it's all right. And then she dies immediately. She was
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
She was like, you admit it? Okay, I'm out of 5,000. I'm out
And
of here.
it's so weird
Mic
because
drop.
they have to
The
like
mic drop.
Yeah.
She just Chris Rock.
and so she dies, and then the father goes outside, and the son is like arriving, and then they like
Yeah,
embrace and
the
stuff.
blonde nurse lady called the
Yeah.
son. She was like, "See,
Yeah.
he's got him up there with your mom."
So I guess what's really the strange thing that they don't show here is like, so the father and son are reuniting, whatever, and Powder's still just upstairs with the dead wife by himself.
they don't show that. You're
Like
right.
they don't show him. Like, does he just like quietly like sneak out of there? Like,
That's the pedophile. He's just molesting the body.
oh my god.
Is that too fucked up?
He also has
He's like, what do you want? I've been living by myself in a basement for the last 16 years.
He's like, yeah, I've never seen this before. I had a grandma and grandpa. That was it.
Is this after he discovers he has the power to defibrillate?
I don't think he's
No, he didn't
defibrillated
defibrillate yet.
Oh,
No,
okay.
this is before. And
But
also,
he knows he has powers. He's done a million other
he
things.
he wouldn't be able to bring her.
Yeah.
She was dying. That I thought they were going to have.
Oh yeah, I got you. Yeah, good point. Yeah,
I thought they were going to have him show up and then save her, and she's going to be like, "I'm back!" Like I thought they were going to.
Yeah.
He like cures her cancer with his electricity.
Well, that's kind of how like the Green Mile
Yeah,
is.
the Green
You know,
Mile.
the Green
Right,
Mile is
right.
a very similar thing. That
right, but he
spits out
has
a
like
bunch of flies
supernatural
and stuff.
powers.
Right.
Powder is supposed to be kind of based
Like more in like
supernatural-
the universe's powers. They're like
Yeah.
it's like electricity. He can just connect
very-
himself to the world.
It's very Alien visits the Earth. This movie kind of because he's different
Yeah.
from everybody else, and the way it ends, which we'll talk about, is very so Alien. It's so
Yeah.
Alien came and left, you know. But so. Yeah, that scene with the wife is before the field scene where they knock him into the mud and everything. 'Cause I forget how that's at the school, and then the storm's coming. They do the whole bullying scene in the thing. He defibrillates the guy. He wakes up. The other kid gets him out of there. He goes back to his grandparents' farm.
Every other scene, basically, he just starts going home. He's trying to just like walk towards
his
home.
whole route throughout the whole movie is I just want to go home. That's the line that you said.
Yeah.
Because he goes, how much longer do you think I'll let you keep me
Yeah,
here?
and he's like blowing glass.
Blowing
I mean, like
glass
glass
and-
is like exploding all
Yeah.
around him and stuff. And he's like, which is an interesting. I think it's an interesting point, plot point in the movie where it's like they keep taking him to this room and then they take him to this school, and he's like, he has the powers to just explode everything around him, zap everybody. He doesn't
just go.
He's just like the most polite kid in the
Yeah.
world, and he's just like, and then at some point he's like, okay, now I really want to go home, and so he gets angry and things
Yeah, he's
explode.
like,
and he
you
just
kill
walks and
deers.
just
I
goes
like
home.
those things.
Yeah.
I don't want to go home.
Yeah.
He also, I think what they're trying to show is like, oh, look, he's so different from you, and you're calling him all these names, but he's actually more advanced than you, and
Yeah.
smarter and more compassionate. That was the whole idea. Like,
Yeah.
which fits in back to the pedophile thing, because he's trying to say, hey, I may be different than you, but I'm just like you, and I'm actually more. I have a lot of emotions, and I'm telling you.
All right,
there's no way.
I guess I realize where I'm at with this movie. Pre knowing that the director's a pedophile, I can fully defend this movie. Knowing that the director's a pedophile, I am having a lot harder time defending the movie.
Well, here's the thing, man. I honestly didn't think I would come in and use it as much of a point, but after I watched it, I'm like, yeah, that has tinges of pedophile. That has tinges. The guy, literally, they have I would say a minute and a half. No, not minute and a half, but like, there's the scene where he's in the basketball court and he's watching the kid. He's not even watching the kid. It's like he's not watching him shower, but he's watching him wash himself off.
Yeah.
and drenched the towel onto his head like of water.
I mean,
a big muscular teenage kid.
He must
but they
have
don't tell you
enjoyed-
why he does that.
Oh, I thought that was obvious, but I knew that before I knew he was a pedophile. I'm telling you, because you have this tan kid with body hair. I thought he was like jealous of like.
That should have been way sooner in the movie if that was the thing. That's what I'm saying. That's
And you know what? There could have been a less creepy
excuse
you're right.
reason.
There could have been a less creepy way of doing that. It could have been like, oh, Jeff Goldblum's got a goatee, and he was like, ooh, I like that. That would have been a way. That would have been like a way simpler way to do it.
It's Phoebe Cates coming out of the water in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
For a pedophile.
It's shot. No, it's shot like.
It's literally.
It's shot
What's
with
the
like.
song that plays when they're doing that?
The Cars.
Yeah, the car.
Living in stereo.
This sounds like Powder. It's like Dreamweaver. No, but it's like soft lighting and like
Powder is
sparkling.
thank heaven for a little girl.
It was a deleted scene where it's panned down Powder's body and he's just jerking off.
That's in the extras.
Yeah.
That's the DVD
Deleted
extras.
scene.
Yeah, like what would the commentary be like for this movie? Just that director, like,
'Cause the director did
I wanted to jerk off during this, they wouldn't let me. It was
my
kind of
God.
weird.
It is weird if the
But
people doing the like while they're doing the movie, and he's like directing the lighting of the scene and stuff. People around him must have been like, Victor, maybe take it easy a little bit on the it's
Well, they
it's probably an
probably-
uncomfortable scene to be in.
It's so weird because you're right. The way this
set
movie
for it.
was shot, they could have. No, I guess because then the field thing happens right after that. But that scene of the kid cooling himself off with the rag and washing himself in the sink, literally, if the reason for that was because he's like, look, he's like normal looking and I look different than everybody.
Yeah.
That should have been in the first half hour of the movie.
Like established
When
that
he
a lot
first
earlier.
met all those kids, and then that would have been like one of the first bullying scenes. But the reason he did it is why we know why he did it. We know why Victor.
He's like, oh, we gotta save that scene for. We gotta save something.
Oh, yeah.
I will say also. So in that scene, one of the he's in the. Also, why Powder's in that gymnasium? No idea. He just wanders into a gym, and they're all playing basketball in there. And one kid goes into the locker room or bathroom, and he's like rinsing himself off. But they show. I just rewatched it too for whatever reason. I noticed this. I just thought it was a funny side thing. There's like 4 or 5 of them playing basketball in the gym. And they just show him for like 2 seconds playing basketball. And it's basically just one guy like holding the basketball and the other guy's kind of like chasing and slapping. He doesn't know how to play basketball at all. It's one of the funniest.
The guy?
The guys, when they show them playing basketball,
Yeah.
they're just kind of like chasing each other around with a basketball. It's really funny. Like they don't, like none of it, they're like dribbling with 2 hands and stuff. It just looks like.
Is that true?
Yeah,
I didn't even catch that.
I just noticed that rewatching it. It's like 4 people who. Like when, I mean,
But that means nobody on the set knew how to play basketball.
Yeah.
Because they were like, hey, use one hand when you're dribbling that ball.
Yeah. It just looked like, 4 or 5 kids who have never played basketball.
It's so funny, too. They're all like in good, like...
Good shape,
Good
yeah.
shape, so it's like they're probably athletic, but whatever.
It's like, when you do your little actor's resume, we all have our actor's resumes and stuff, and mine says, like, your special skills, and it'll be like most sports, or, if you can swim, you write that, but... It's just funny. I just picture those guys being like on set. They're like, no one asked us if we knew how to play basketball, and they're just like bouncing it with 2 hands. And they're like,
how do we score a goal?
yeah.
So then what happens is that whole field scene happens. Then he goes back to the farmhouse, and then there's no moment. There's no thing they show of. I don't think there is, unless I missed this. Of Mary Steenburgen being like, where is he? We have to find him. And then looking places where he isn't.
Yeah.
And then they immediately just go back to that farmhouse.
I think they know that
just know that he
going
wants to go
home.
back there.
Yeah.
Right, okay. That makes sense. And they show up, and he's in his basement. All his books are gone. And she walks in, and she's shocked because all his books are gone. She's like, we'll get him back for you.
We'll get
like,
back every last one.
I'm like, this seems unnecessary. And then...
Why does he need the books? He's got to memorize.
Exactly. He's got him. Yeah, he could recite you the books.
Yeah.
And they go. Then Jeffrey Goldblum shows up, and they're gonna take him to safety somewhere. I don't know what. They don't even say what they're gonna take. Where they're
No,
gonna
they
take
just say
him.
they're gonna. They just basically are like.
It
"Come with
doesn't
us."
matter because what happens is they show up, and then the sheriff shows up, and he's like, and the sheriff's deputy, the guy who won't shoot guns anymore, is back to being an asshole. He's like in his outfit. They're showing him like, yeah, I'm back, whatever. And then he's like, all right, just let him down. We don't want any trouble here. Have him come down. And then the sheriff comes out, and he's like, where are you going to take him? And they're like, I don't know, somewhere. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do here? And he's like, you can just look the other way.
Yeah, the sheriff asks him to. He's like, just look the other way. And
Well, no, the sheriff asks the deputy after Goldblum asks the sheriff to look the other way. He's like, it's easy. It's like, I think it was supposed to be this dramatic moment and like a big Goldblum moment where he's like, it's easy. You just look the other way. And he moves his head to the side. I'm like,
Goldblum goes,
that's not hitting as
I don't
hard.
know how to do that. And he's like, it's easy. You just turn your head. It's a really great Goldblum moment. I like it.
But I didn't.
I think Goldblum
it didn't land on me as much as it should have. No, he's awesome, but it just didn't land. And then they're going to let him go, right? And then what does he say?
So what happens is, they're like kind of going to let him go, and then. The deputy goes to his radio in the car to like call for backup, and then I think they like Powder fucks the signal up in his walkie-talkie or whatever, so we can't do it. And then the deputy ends up going back to his car and calling for backup or whatever. And then literally while he's doing that, Powder just takes off and runs into the field.
Also starts running. And doesn't know how to run. Like, starts running like a velociraptor.
Oh, have you noticed the entire movie? I was like, this must be some sort of like acting choice or something. But he walks like slouched, like kind of off to, like he's kind of like slouched, like leaning to one side.
Like he's like, this boy's been in captivity for a long time.
Yeah, but they say earlier, like when the doctor checks him out, Powder's like ripped. And they even say, and
Powder, great health.
And Powder says later, he's like, he doesn't live in the basement. Just when the sun's like really high, he goes in the basement. So like. He's been doing farm work and walking. He's like an able-bodied, strong person.
He can go outside, right?
But he does kind of walk slouch, and then he starts running, and it's like, what do you? It looks like a 8-month-old golden retriever that like isn't know how to use his body.
Yeah, like a newborn fawn. Just learning how to walk. It's so weird. And he starts booking.
It's the episode of Friends where like they make fun of Phoebe because she runs funny. Do you remember that episode?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Please don't do Friends reference on this podcast.
But you're doing Seinfeld.
Only Seinfeld.
All right.
You can make an Elaine dancing reference if you like.
Yeah.
Right, Aaron?
Yeah. He runs like Elaine dances. I like that.
Anyway,
a lot of pointing.
The reason he's running is because the thunder, it's like the storm is building up and the thunder and lightning is coming overhead. And then he just starts booking like a weirdo and that weird running thing where he's not even closing his fists. Like he's just running like a weirdo, like we said. And they realize, I guess, what he's doing. They're like, oh shit, because he's running into the field and he'll get fucked up.
He'll get hit by lightning.
Hit by lightning. So literally, it's Mary Steenburgen be like, Powder! She's just like, Powder! Powder! And it's like, I'm like, that's not gonna work. I think he has his mind made up. And they're chasing him. I'm like, what are you going to do if you get him, first of all?
Tackle him? Like, what are they going to do? Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, the sky just opens up.
And they're all chasing him. They're all chasing him.
It's
who is it? It's Mary Steenburgen, the sheriff's deputy, and Jeff Goldblum. It's four of them. Yeah, they're all chasing him.
They're all chasing him. Nobody
and
gets
he's running with his arms just like wide open like a Creed video.
Yeah, so
I'm supposed to be defending it, I love it. I still love it.
You'll have a chance. I'm going to ask you for 3 reasons in a second.
Okay, cool.
So he runs like an idiot, and even with his terrible running, he's still outrunning them.
Oh yeah.
Then he puts his arms with arms wide open, Powder with arms wide open, and then literally the lightning comes down, grabs him,
hole in the sky, opens up,
boom, lightning comes down and just. Like, doesn't destroy him. They don't show him destroy him.
No, he's running while it's, like, in his chest.
Like,
he's, like,
shaking
running.
him up. Yeah. And it's, like, the light's just taking him over, and then he's just gone. And then his, like, almost like a Hayukin thing just goes over the whole field.
Yeah.
It's like a Street Fighter, like a really big Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Ryu's Hayukin.
It, like goes out in, like, a ring of energy, and it goes through all of them.
Yes. For, like, a second, but they're fine.
Yeah.
And
it like looks like when you see like an atomic bomb and like the whatever the like that goes out, just like goes through them.
That's exactly what it looks like.
And then Powder's gone.
Powder's gone.
He's not like a spirit. There's no bits and pieces. There's no dead body.
Well, they're foreshadowing towards because when he was describing how electricity it doesn't leave.
Well, that is. I do have a thing about that. They're like so the energy that is whatever the electricity that makes your brain and your muscles and everything like that electricity goes out. But there's still a body and blood and stuff like that.
Right.
But anyway, you don't see that. It's all he's vaporized.
He just is. Yeah. Or you're supposed to think that like he's so electric that's why you didn't see him.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the scenes at one point is I think Jeff Goldblum realized he goes the reason he has no hair. He's like he is electrolysis.
I'm like, are you just roasting him? Like, what are you doing? Is this roast battle with Jeff Goldblum and Powder?
Yeah. Every time they just call him Powder, you're like, ouch! And
and also,
his name's Jeremy.
Yeah,
it's
Jeremy. But he calls himself Powder when she meets him for the first time.
What's your name?
She goes, what's your name? He goes, Powder. It's like, well, who called you that? Your grandparents?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, my grandson Powder. He's a real fuck up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's gone, and then that's it. Pretty much, they're kind of like they take it in on the field. They take what happened.
One thing they do a lot in this movie is they'll do really long reaction shots. Like, they'll stay on, like, Mary Steenburgen and just watch her go through, like, 4 different emotions. And now they have Powder's gone, so they just go to singles of all 4 in the field kind of reacting. And most of them are, like, smiling or crying or taking it. They're like, glowing. They're, like clearly, like, something like Powder
something
went through
came over them,
and
yeah. And the sheriff has a weird one. He's like laugh crying.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
It's like this weird thing. He's covering his mouth in a weird way.
Yeah.
And then he's also doing, I can't do it on
Jeff
the
Goldblum
radio,
looks
but
like he just ate a pancake or something.
Yeah.
Like, he just looks totally Jeff Goldblum.
I'm Jeff. I'm not gonna freak out.
I'm always in this state of mind.
Yeah,
like, this is just where I live.
Yeah. And he literally, the sheriff had a weird hand thing he was doing where like he crisscrosses his hands over his body. So they've had like basically you're supposed to be like, oh, it was a religious experience or something.
Yeah, it was like
weird.
a huge
and they're
moment.
like, and they're like, it's almost like them being okay with it, and that's pretty much how the movie ends.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Which is weird because you
do
do
follow up. There's no. They could have had a follow up where like. Things go back to normal in the town, and then like Jeff Goldblum's in the class, and Powder shows up as electricity somewhere.
the Jacob's Ladder just goes like, "Hello, Jeff." Powder's like head forms.
He comes back as a light switch or something.
Yeah,
he comes back. He's like, "Powder, is that you?" Click, click.
Click, click, yeah.
Yeah, or he's just one frame like Tyler Durden.
Oh man, that would be cool. That would be cool.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, if that'd be perfect. But so anyway, so that's how the movie ends.
It ends but it's made. You're made to feel good, like something great happened. You don't feel like he died. You feel like
he
feel like he
didn't
went
die.
out and he's free and everybody understands. That's kind of what you're made to feel.
Pure electricity.
Yeah.
His supposedly like I think it's supposed to be like now he's in his natural form. Now he's supposed to be electric. That's it. Only electric, not
This sucks
human.
that they have to go back and explain that to people in the town. They're like, "What happened?" They're like, "Oh, I just kind of disappeared in the
They're
field."
like, yeah, they should have a follow-up movie where they're like, "Hey, there's an investigation. These 4 people murdered that kid. Like,
maybe
there's no body."
Maybe the pedophile director likes that as an ending. They're like, "Yeah," he's like trying to plant that in society.
I love when kids disappear.
Yeah, sometimes kids disappear and there's no real good explanation, but it's not bad. Nothing bad happened. He's pure energy now. It's like, are you sure you didn't like rape the kid and kill him? Yeah.
That's it.
It's a fantasy. It's a fantasy
pedophile
pedophilia
alibi
story.
movie. It's
oh
a
my God. Woof.
Oh my God, that's perfect. And I want to do this though. You have to do quickly.
All right.
You got it. This is the defense part because we had fun here. What is the 3 reasons you would defend this movie? You don't have to mention pedophile stuff or anything.
Okay.
I know we talked about that a lot, and I'm sorry, but
my 3 reasons. Let me see if I can think of them.
It coats this movie. It's insane.
Okay, let me see if I can think of 3 reasons. First, so to go back to stuff we talked about, one reason, easy reason is Jeff Goldblum's performance in this movie is so fun. Like,
okay.
I genuinely, you can hate everything about this movie, but if you are a Jeff Goldblum, I love Jeff Goldblum. He is one of the most unique actors and people that I've ever seen, and I genuinely love him. So, and his performance in this movie, I think, is great. Okay, second reason, the overall message I get from the movie is that whole idea of, I really love the idea of a evolved version of a person. What humans can, just a fun idea of what humans can possibly evolve to.
Okay.
I think as a central
going.
theme of the movie, that's great. I might only have 2. That's a genuine thing. No, I didn't know. You didn't tell me I was going to have multiple. I didn't know I needed more than one reason to defend.
No,
I will say honestly,
I just
Jeff
stick to
Goldblum's
the premise.
Yeah, sure. And then I'm trying to think. I will say this too. I'm not a crier at all. Like, very few things in life will make me cry. Like, huge breakups and stuff haven't made me cry. Like, deaths in the family haven't made me cry. Like, very few things. A few things have. And very few movies can make me cry. And most of them are sports movies, very honestly. Like, Rudy is a movie that can get me. There
Rudy,
are I would say 3, possibly 4 parts in Powder that will get me to tear up. Like there's something about
That's
Powder
reason number 3.
that it might not be. I might not have a specific. I don't know what it is about the movie, but there are probably 3 moments in Powder that can actually get me to like well up and
That's
really
reason number
feel
3.
that.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
It really
cool.
does.
Did you have fun doing this?
I had a blast doing it.
All right, cool.
You really made me like rethink some parts of it. The pedophilia thing is a very difficult thing to overcome,
Totally.
and it's not a thing I want to. I don't want to overcome pedophilia. I want the pedophile to lose.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
In
I
this movie,
still
you can't,
enjoy
it's hard
the
to defend this
movie.
movie, but you did a good job even with that hovering overhead. What would you like to plug? You have a Twitter?
I do. Adam_Newman at Twitter. And if there's anything to plug, I would love it if people found a way to watch the special on CISO. It's hard. I know CISO is a pay thing. It's $3.99 a month, but
get it and watch the special.
Yeah, I know if you go to CISO.com, I know there's some codes to have at least a couple weeks of a free preview and stuff. And there are other great specials on it too. There's some great specials and great shows. So sign up for it for a couple weeks and see if you like it. And
cool.
It's a new comedy thing that's hooking comedians up with specials and shows and stuff. So if you can support it, it's a cool thing. And I got a special on there called Fuzzies.
Fuzzies. Also, we have an email for the podcast. It's at defendyourmovie. It's defendyourmovie@gmail.com. We have a Twitter at defendyourmovie. Contact us and let us know what you think of the podcast, movies you think that somebody should defend on the podcast if you had your choice. You can hear us on all the platforms, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, all that jazz. We're here in LA at All Things Comedy Studios. I want to thank them for letting us do this. And also, thank you so much to our friend Aaron for playing the Farah role this week.
Hey, I wasn't as talkative as Farah.
No, but it's quite all right. You were a good sounding board for the plot of the movie. We're going to try to have Farah on for next week's. If we can get her on the phone, we'll have her on for part of the episode or the whole episode. We got to see how it works out. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. That is so integral to the show. And yeah, that's about it. I'm at Shoney Time on Twitter if you want to talk to me directly. And that's about it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.
My friend, there's a time